Painkillers are some of the most commonly used medicines in the modern world. Every day, millions of people depend on them to get through headaches, back pain, joint problems, injuries, dental procedures, and surgical recovery. For some patients, painkillers are not optional. They are essential for maintaining quality of life. Yet, despite their importance, painkillers have also been at the center of some of the most serious drug safety debates in the United States. Over time, America's approach to regulating painkillers has changed dramatically. In the past, dangerous painkillers were often removed from the market completely. Today, instead of banning most painkillers, the focus has shifted toward strict control, monitoring, and risk management. In earlier decades, drug regulation in the United States was far less advanced than it is today. Clinical trials were shorter, smaller, and less diverse. Many long-term side effects were unknown at the time of approval. Once a drug entered the market, it could take years before serious problems became visible. During this period, the FDA relied on a relatively straightforward strategy. If strong evidence showed that a drug caused severe harm or death, and its benefits did not clearly outweigh the risks, the drug was removed entirely. This approach reflected the medical thinking of the time, where banning a dangerous medicine was seen as the most responsible and protective action. Several painkillers that were once widely trusted eventually became symbols of this ban-based system. Phenacetin is one example. It was commonly used for headaches and chronic pain for decades. People often took it daily without concern. Over time, long-term studies revealed that regular use could cause serious kidney damage, irreversible kidney failure, and an increased risk of bladder cancer. The harm was slow and silent, but devastating. By the early 1980s, scientific evidence was overwhelming, and in 1983, phenacetin was banned in the United States. Another example was zomepirac, a painkiller similar to other non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Shortly after its approval, reports of severe allergic reactions began to appear. Some patients experienced sudden anaphylaxis after taking only one dose. In several cases, these reactions were fatal. Because there was no reliable way to predict who would be affected, regulators determined that the risk was unacceptable. Zomepirac was withdrawn from the US market in 1983, reinforcing the idea that banning a drug could prevent further harm. Propoxyphene, sold under brand names like Darvon and Darvocet, became one of the most well-known painkiller bands in modern history. It was considered a mild opioid and was prescribed for everyday pain. For many years, it was viewed as safer than stronger narcotics. Later research revealed a dangerous reality. Even at normal doses, propoxyphene could disrupt heart rhythm and increase the risk of sudden cardiac death. The margin between a therapeutic dose and a toxic dose was very small. After reviewing decades of data, the FDA concluded that there was no safe way to use the drug. In 2010, propoxyphene was completely removed from the US market. These bans saved lives and strengthened drug safety standards. However, they also revealed important limitations. Medicine was evolving, and pain management was becoming more complex. Painkillers were no longer used only for short-term discomfort. They were increasingly essential for cancer care, trauma treatment, chronic illness, and end-of-life care. A complete ban could sometimes leave doctors with fewer treatment options and patients with unmanaged pain. In some cases, banning a legal drug pushed people toward illegal alternatives, increasing overall harm rather than reducing it. As scientific understanding improved, regulators began to recognize that risk is not always absolute. Some side effects occur only in specific populations. Some risks increase only at higher doses or with long-term use. Others can be reduced through careful monitoring and patient education. This raised an important question for regulators. Instead of asking whether a drug should exist at all, should the focus be on how it is used? This question became impossible to ignore during the opioid crisis. Powerful opioids such as oxycodone and hydrocodone were not banned. They were approved, legal, and heavily prescribed. In the 1990s and early 2000s, pain was promoted as the fifth vital sign, and doctors were encouraged to treat it aggressively. Pharmaceutical marketing minimized addiction risks, and prescription rates climbed rapidly. Over time, dependence spread, misuse increased, and overdose deaths rose to unprecedented levels. Communities across the United States were deeply affected. The most disturbing realization was that the greatest harm did not come from banned drugs. It came from approved medicines that were widely available but poorly controlled. Banning opioids outright was not realistic. Patients with cancer, severe injuries, and surgical pain still needed them. The crisis forced regulators to rethink their approach entirely. This marked a fundamental shift in painkiller policy. The central question changed from should this painkiller be banned to how can this painkiller be used safely. This change led to the rise of a control-based system focused on managing risk rather than eliminating drugs altogether. The FDA began using multiple tools to reduce harm while preserving access for patients who genuinely needed pain relief. Modern painkiller regulation in the United States now relies on layered controls. These include black box warnings for serious risks, prescription-only access, dose and duration limits, age-based restrictions, controlled substance scheduling, and mandatory education for both doctors and patients. Some drugs require special risk management programs that track prescribing patterns and patient outcomes. This approach accepts that no medicine is completely safe, but aims to ensure that benefits outweigh risks as much as possible. As a result, many painkillers today are not banned, but are effectively restricted. This is sometimes described as a soft ban. The drug remains legal, but access is limited and carefully monitored. Codeine, for example, is still available in the United States, but its use in children is restricted, and strong warnings highlight the risk of breathing suppression. Tramadol, once marketed as a safer opioid, is now a controlled substance due to its potential for dependence. Even morphine, one of the most powerful painkillers, is legal only under strict medical supervision. Lessons from past bans have played a crucial role in shaping this system. Regulators learn that rare side effects can still cause large numbers of deaths when millions of people take a drug. They also learned that long-term toxicity, such as kidney damage or heart disease, can be just as dangerous as immediate reactions. As a result, clinical trials are now longer, post-marketing surveillance is stronger, and adverse effects are monitored continuously. Approval is no longer the end of evaluation. It is only the beginning. As of 2026, no major painkiller has been completely banned in the United States in recent years. This does not mean modern painkillers are risk-free. It means problems are being detected earlier. Instead of waiting for widespread harm, regulators act sooner by restricting use, lowering approved doses, narrowing indications, and adding stronger warnings. The system has become more preventive rather than reactive. Most experts believe that this control-based approach is more effective than relying on bans alone. Bans are powerful but rigid. Once a drug is removed, it cannot be adjusted or improved. Control allows flexibility. Regulations can evolve as new data emerges. Doctors retain options to treat pain, patients receive protection, and regulators can respond quickly to new risks. However, this system also requires constant vigilance, transparency, and accountability. Pain management remains one of the most difficult challenges in medicine. Undertreating pain leads to suffering. Overtreating pain leads to dependence, misuse, and death. Every policy decision involves balancing relief and risk. The shift from bans to control reflects a deeper understanding that medicine is not about absolute safety, but about responsible use. America's painkiller policy has been shaped by hard lessons from the past. In earlier decades, danger meant bans. Today, danger means control. This evolution reflects better science, better monitoring, and painful experience with drug misuse. Painkillers are powerful medical tools. Used wisely, they can restore dignity and function. Used carelessly, they can destroy lives. Understanding how and why policy changed helps patients, doctors, and society make safer choices. The future of pain management is not about banning medicines, but about using them carefully, responsibly, and with respect for their